year ago, I was telling people stay away from it. Now, in selective circumstances, it's extremely valuable to deal with and put it up there, and especially combined with the buy now buttons on that. But your cover image has to tell a story. It has to convey a message. So when you're looking at it, at that portion of it, going back to where we were, you need to pick the image, even if you have to splice a number of images together. Okay, and you want it to capture people's imagination. You want them to be able to look at it, and putting all of that together. So when we know it, it's happening. It's like reading the book The Purple Cow.
Another Seth Godin book.
Another Seth Godin book, yes.
Exactly.
The Purple Cow is all about how do you stand out? Well, purple cows are pretty noticeable and pretty attention-getting because they're not the norm.
We'll bring that into the profile picture. We talked about the cover being shot, that big billboard. Now you have your profile picture. And, that is your icon. That is following all of those postings that you're putting out there on social media for your page. So first of all, make sure it is a different picture than what you have on your personal profile. And it should be branding you somehow. Also, it can be your logo. It can be a picture of, you, again, in some format of your business so that it's recognizable and really, again, makes you stand out. Also, make sure you enable the messaging on your Facebook page so that people can private message you. It allows you to, for those people that don't really want to post on your page, you want to ask you a question in private, it allows them to do so just like on your personal page if you have your message open. But the key on that is to make sure you are responsive on a timely manner, and that's important. So there are some items within your back office area on your Facebook page that you can actually set up to produce a message immediately if someone does put a private message out there in your, because we're not living on these pages, we are doing other items as well, but you can be alerted that there is a message there, but they are alerted immediately that you're paying attention. Now, getting back to posting, how often should we post on our business page now?
Well, it would be ideally if you could do it once a day.
Okay.
At different time frames, not all at the same time. But for most people, that's not a practical solution to deal with. So I would say at a minimum, 3 times a week at different times of the day.
3 times?
3 times.
At a minimum.
At a minimum. That's my bare minimum recommendation.
Ideally, at least 5 times during the week. I mean, if your business, like say for real estate, is more active on the weekend, you need to know your service industry and who your target market is, of course. More on that target market here in a moment. But if you know that they're more active on the weekends, then you need to be posting on the weekends.
Yeah, well, you mentioned real estate. That's when you need to do it. But one of the common mistakes I see in real estate is all people do is post their listings. Well, what does that do? We're talking about building a relationship. We're talking about the chicken or the egg, which comes first. Okay. In marketing, people need to know your message, but they also need to know you.
Right.
Because when you're especially in a small business, a micro business type of a thing, and I don't care if your micro business is doing $10,000 a year or if you're doing $10 million a year, if you just have a few people, you have to expose yourself to them. And I mean that in a good way. You have to let them inside your head where they understand your psychology of how you're working.
So you really want to have a mixture. And I know on a previous show we talked about a formula that the 50, 30, and 20. And I'm going to just briefly mention that 50% of the content that you're posting on your social media, especially your business format page, has to be entertaining and interesting. 30% needs to be the informative and resourceful content, and then 20% more promotional. And yes, you can sell, but again, it's that art of unselling. And so when you're posting community information, especially with the real estate arena or service base, you're showing that you're very active in the community, that you're involved. Definitely show pictures of yourself. I know on our WCN interactive page last week, we were posting things. We've had some really active events happening, networking, as well as you being installed in the board, us receiving an award. All this information is great stuff to put on your social media page. It builds credibility, social proof, bring in tips, bring in testimonials. Again, you're producing social proof so people get comfortable with you, confident, as well as building a know, like, and trust factor. So it's that mixture and not just what you do.
Absolutely. I mean, it is because the know, like, and trust factor is what drives business. Mm-hmm. Because one, if they don't know you, you don't stand a chance. So you have to stand out. You have to take a risk and put your thoughts, put your pictures, put your images up there. Yep. And that is the cool thing. You know, as you do that, over time, people get to know who you are. But if you don't, then you have to resort to some sort of paid promotion through Facebook, boosting a post, or Facebook ads. Okay, yeah. You don't have a choice if you're not willing to do that. And you know, we know which one Facebook likes. You know, they're a public corporation now. They have to report to Wall Street every quarter and turn in their financials. So they need to make money, and that's how they make money. Well, we as individuals and small business people and humongous corporations, you know, we need to drive revenue also. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to talk about it, but talk about it in a social sense. You know, it's building the expectation. It's like going out on a first date.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay, you meet somebody, and there's a little bit of interest. You know, kind of nice. You're kind of smiling at each other. You can have some nice conversations, even communicate on social media a little bit. But at some point in time, one or the other of you have to muster up the courage to say, would you like to go out? And it's the same thing on Facebook. Mm-hmm. At some point in time, you've got to get the courage to say, here I am. This is what I do. And would you like some? It's no different.
I like that. I like the sound of that. Well, when you're talking about the postings that you're putting on your your Facebook page, one of the techniques that you can do, again, to bring notice to something that you really want to gain more attention from, is actually pin a post. And what that means is you're tagging that post to stay at the top of the stream of posts that you're putting on your timeline right there on your Facebook page. And again, that is the first post they're going to see when they scroll through your timeline, and it will stay there until you actually unpin it. And it's a great way to really, again, bring attention to something. Like those of you that are coming, we're Facebook Living. Again, come on over to the Social Radio Show page so that you can, connect with us here, as well as join in the conversation on our live feed. But you will see a pinned post of our February sponsor. And that post will stay there promoting him, Ian Kennedy and Fish Window Cleaning because they are one of our sponsors this month, actually our February sponsor. So we'll leave that pinned up there so it can bring attention to them. That's what we do for our sponsors. We want them to get the attention.
Well, there was an interesting example because we had mentioned pinning a post earlier, but here we are using it as a way to promote people that help us.
Yes.
So you want to take that same psychology, no matter what your business is. And if somebody gives you a compliment, if somebody gives you a recommendation, it's okay to pin it to the top. I mean, pinning it to the top is like bragging. Now, not everybody comes to your page, okay, but the people that do are going to see it.
Now,
uh-oh.
Again, we're talking about postings. No, because hashtags. Let's talk hashtags for a second. They started on Twitter, and they are the what I call hashtag pound sign in front of a word or a group of words, creating a phrase. And when Facebook brought them in, there was mixed reaction. And I'm finding that there's still a lot of mixed reaction. And
I think a lot of that misreaction is also confusion.
It is. And I will say some of the tests that have been out there, some, surveys, some test studies, it has shown that on Facebook, posts that have hashtags haven't really proven to get a greater engagement. However, you mentioned it when we first started today, that search bar on the top of Facebook. That is like a search engine.
It is totally a search engine, just like on Twitter. You put the hashtag in, you put a word in, and you're going to see every post that's got that in there. Well, Facebook is no different. Instagram, they all use it.
Yeah.
So just remember that. Will everybody use it? Is it going to be a big contributor? Who knows? But what I will promise you, if you don't use it, you're missing a big opportunity to stand out and let people know your brand, otherwise known as your business.
And this is where the strategic, as I teach our clients and you teach our coaching clients, you always have to have a plan. Everything begins with a plan. And when you are focusing on your message here on Facebook to make sure you are getting the results that you desire, you have to have a strategic plan of action. So you have to strategically think why and how to use hashtags. You never own a hashtag, but you also want to make sure that you're using hashtags that people will actually search for in that search bar. I've seen a lot of them, they kind of create hashtags in a sentence that really people aren't going to remember or they're not going to use to look for something. But if you want to be seen in a stream of conversation and be found by more people, this is a tactic you will want to use within your Facebook posting. Never use more than 3. Now, there are some exceptions. I think today I actually used 4. I wanted to make sure, I want to use talk radio, podcast. I want to use the theme that we're talking about, Facebook marketing. What are the, and my one that I use a lot and I love to use is social is fun. So I added that 4th one today. But I try to keep it to 3. I also do not put it in the context of the message. I want to repeat that. I don't actually use within Facebook a hashtag when I put a sentence together because it kind of...
You put it at the beginning, you put it at the end.
At the very end.
At the very
end is what I normally do. Now, again, there's always exceptions to the rules. We all know that. But on a habit, when you're creating a habit, and 1 or 2 is fine too. Again, don't abuse them, but strategically use them.
Well, should it always be like the name of my product, the name of my company, my name? How should I allocate the hashtags?
Well, what you want to do is make sure that you're seeing first of all, for our listeners, what a hashtag does is it actually sorts a conversation surrounding that hashtag or the hashtag phrase.
Yeah.
In the news feed. So when someone brings it up, all the conversations